Bamsters rates of R, because pirates, yar, R, yar yar.
And we're back again with another episode of the Bamster Show. Jolly here, and I am joined by Draconis.
Zombie Draconis this time around.
Man flu strikes again. Yeah, Draconis has got the deadly man flu.
Yep, but I'm here anyway, because I'm still dedicated to our, what is it now, 2 or 3 listeners?
Yeah, there's still a few out there kicking around.
Well, let's start this off with a little bit of good news. I think it was a few weeks, maybe even a couple months back, if even that far, we mentioned that Netflix had decided to cancel the rather popular show Sense8. And now they're actually going to bring it back for a series finale. So, not another new season, but they're going to bring it back at least enough to close out the story they've been telling.
Yeah, from reading it, it kind of has like the Firefly feel to it. I mean, this show made it 2 seasons, right? I only have watched the first season, I want to say. But apparently maybe you can get like a 2-hour finale movie type situation going on. Kind of like Serenity for Firefly.
Yeah, the way it ended, it left you certainly wanting to know what was going to happen next. So it'll be cool that they're at least going to finish that out and kind of end the story on not on a cliffhanger this time.
Yeah, I remember reading people were complaining about that. It's like, I understand, like, you invest some time sitting there watching 2 seasons of a show, and then it's like, well, what's going to happen now?
Well, I wish TV networks, including ones, the streaming networks like Netflix, would make up their mind prior to the end of a season. And I don't mean after the season has already been filmed, but prior to the completion of the writing and stuff, so that the people who are working on the show can end tie up a lot of the loose ends and whatnot, so it doesn't just leave you hanging and then it doesn't come back for another show, which kind of sucks.
But yeah, I mean, Netflix is throwing a lot of money out there for different TV shows. It makes sense that they're getting rid of some of the other ones, because Sense8 was there was kind of a barrier to entry to enjoyment of that show. Like the first season, man, I made it maybe 3 episodes in, and then I was like, oh, really? Is this going to pick up? This show is not that good. But after like the 3rd episode, I started really enjoying the show.
Well, I've always said you got to give a TV series at least 5 or so episodes really to develop, because there's so much in the beginning where they're just introducing different characters that are going to be around for a while and giving you some backstory on who they are so you can understand why they react a certain way to different things. But it takes a little bit of time and storytelling to get to the point where they can just get into the series. So yeah, I think with any show, I usually suggest give it at least five episodes before you make up your mind.
Yeah, I get you, but like seasons are like 13 episodes. That's almost half of the whole season before you actually start enjoying it. I kind of personally think they should go the route of not trying to introduce every one of the cast members in the first couple episodes. Like, give me one cast member, flesh out his story some or her story some, and then like you can gradually, like 5 episodes in, oh, there's another main dude right here, another episode, another couple main people.
Well, I think the problem with doing it that way would be that it would take so much longer to tell the larger story, because the larger story is going to involve all those characters. So if you're waiting to introduce them all, it takes even longer to get to the point.
Yeah, it could make for a boring first season, but man, maybe people actually make it through the first season. I mean, Sense8 only made it two seasons.
Yeah, well, there was a strong enough reaction on social media, though, that we at least get a series finale out of it, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like, Netflix goes ahead and gives them a little more money to make record a couple hours. It'd be cheaper, and they'll have some people, like some goodwill from the peoples.
Now I kind of wonder what's going to fill that void.
Yeah, Netflix is throwing all kind of money around, and I think I heard a rumor a while back about a Skyrim-esque TV show, possibly, and they just had that mod that's apparently huge come out not long ago.
Well, considering what Netflix has been able to do with some of the superhero TV shows and things, and what HBO has done with Game of Thrones. I know it's just you're talking about a rumor, but that would be pretty amazing. I know the world of Skyrim, at least the way that they've developed it, with the high-res textures and stuff on PC, it's almost like playing through, a movie or whatever, a different movie set. So that would be cool to see them actually bring it to life.
Yeah, like one of the stats they put out for this mod, 24,000 lines of voiceover work in a mod. I mean, that's a couple episodes worth right there, I would imagine.
And see, the funny thing is you so distracted me by the idea of a Skyrim TV show that I was talking about the rumored Netflix series, but you're still talking about the mod.
Exactly, you could go back and forth like 24,000 lines of voiceover for this mod.
Yeah, Oblivion and Skyrim were some, truly amazing games, both not just for the visual environments, but just the ability to wander around and explore. And I think the funny thing about Skyrim was I never really got far into the story. I never really got far into the game, other than after a certain point, I just started exploring and completely forgot about the main story, just so that I could wander around and find things. So it's great that they're adding to the map and they're adding, to story quests and stuff like that. But I love mods like this. There was another one, I think Skywind, that adds Morrowind into it as well. So
yeah, Skyrim was never my kind of game. Like, I don't really do the exploring too much in games. I like FPSs, man. Like, that's just always where I'm going to be. I'm always in the shooters.
I love those too, but I like to mix it up a little bit, so.
One thing I do not like in the shooters is what I'm going to refer to them as now, like an old man, the shooters. Battlefront 2, man, I'm reading some troubling stuff that people are talking possible pay-to-win-esque microtransactions for the star cards that are in this game.
Pay-to-win stuff in an FPS? Or, old man talk about shooters? What kind of donkey poo is this?
I'm just rereading just to make sure. Like, honestly, I'm personally not seeing pay-to-win in it.
Well, I mean, it doesn't bother me if it's just cosmetic things. That I don't care about, and I'm all for them doing that to increase the revenue for the game. But if you're talking about things that are going to affect, armor points or weapon damage or, things like that, where you could have somebody just, drop a couple $100 and now they dominate the game because they've got some badass weapon. No, that's BS, man.
No, I'm seeing it more along the lines of the cards that actually, like, upgrade your character as it is. Like, apparently Battlefront 2 is going to have a crafting system where you can upgrade your cards, a la Warframe for those who played it somewhat. Like, you can make your cards better. Like, you can grind up this stuff, like, just grind out the games to upgrade your stuff. But it will be a shortcut in just buying the crates and opening the crates with real money instead of the in-game credits.
I saw this kind of thing with Neverwinter Online, and of course that wasn't even the first one, but, where you could grind out Astral Diamonds, which was the in-game currency for that, or you could just go spend a bunch of money and buy them, and you'd have people, that would then farm out those things and then sell them on the internal market. So I wonder, is there going to be an internal market for these cards, or is this just going to be people?
I highly doubt that. I wouldn't even imagine there's going to be an internal market, like a trading system. I don't think that's going to happen at all.
Well, I hope not, because that's one of the things that I see sometimes ruins games like that. With as much as it's nice to have an internal market, when you start having some kind of in-game currency that can be purchased for real money, then you get people that just come in and farm that stuff and just sell it. It pushes the price up, which is really annoying.
Like, Warframe had something very similar to that, like a trading system. Like, I knew some people who played many hours of Warframe, like actually grinding missions out, and then they would play many hours of, I'm a tycoon, I've got all these cards, I'm going to trade them and sell them on the market. I'm like, dude, how long you guys have been trading? Like, many hours after they played the game was sat trading. Well, this isn't fun. No.
And another popular soon-to-be-released game is going a different direction with how they're setting up their weapons and armor. I was just reading an article that is talking about Destiny 2 and their weapons and armor, how they won't have random rolls like they did in Destiny 1. So when you pick up a weapon, that's how that weapon's going to be. Anybody who picks it up, it's always going to be the same. And it really, while they haven't actually come out and said it, from what I've been reading, this seems to be how they want to try and make it easier for themselves to balance PvP.
Yeah, it makes sense, and I personally love it. Like, I don't like RNG being a factor in how I do in a game, and I'm imagining a lot of other people who are unlucky with RNGesus. Like, he never liked me. RNGesus has never liked me in any game ever.
I think that probably the drawback to this is that there are people who would spend a lot of time grinding out gear, and now there's going to be a loss to that, a loss of playtime, because what's the point in trying to find something like that? And I know there are people out there who enjoy that. I'm not one of the people who, I unfortunately just don't have enough time to do it. So while I'd love to definitely spend more time in games, I just don't see myself spending a lot of time trying to grind for, one or two pieces of epic, level gear. I'd rather just be able to earn specific sets of gear and be done with it, rather than having to re-earn the same things in hopes that I get a better roll.
Yeah, that's something I never liked. RNG, man. I've never liked that in the game. But there is talk from the developer that they their exact thing was, how can my second or third or 10th Better Devil's Hang Cannon, which is a little pistol that you had in the game, be as cool as the first one I get. And apparently they have some ideas, but as always, they're not really willing to share those ideas yet, because I'm guessing they haven't fleshed them out enough.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, too early in development, you don't want to talk about things, because then people start to get excited about something, and then if you have to change it and take it out, then people get pissed off because it's not there.
I do think there is going to be some special stuff out there. I mean, maybe they just make instead of a slightly different variant of a gun, they just make an entirely different gun with better stats than the other stuff. And then you're going to have people searching for that gun.
Well, and I thought I saw something about there being mod slots or something for the gear, so there may be some way for you to increase or modify how the performance of either the weapons or maybe the armor are. But again, we'll still have to wait and see, probably till the beta comes out, to be sure for that.
Yeah. I would be cool with just a custom skin going on there, man. I like stuff as vanilla as possible, person versus person, not person versus 1,000 hours doing the same mission over and over and over and over and over, hoping that you get that special thing to drop. Because I'm not willing to do that. No. It's not time oriented, it's just boring.
Well, and the thing that confuses me when it comes to games like this and PvP is I don't understand. I guess it's a double-edged sword. I kind of don't completely understand, with all the complaining that goes on about balance and stuff. A lot of D&D based games, usually when they're first released, the rogues people think they're overpowered, and they're fun characters to play in the PvE environment. But then when you're trying to balance things for PvP, things start getting nerfed, which then affects the people who don't even play PvP. So I don't understand why these companies don't just, if you're going to play PvE, you can build your character up, you can customize your character, but if you're going to play PvP, then we're going to put you into an arena type environment where you can pick from X amount of different character archetypes, and those characters are loaded out with certain weapons or whatever that you can change out, and then just balance that stuff for PvP so that it doesn't affect the PvE environment.
I think it's just ease. It's they would rather balance across the board than doubling their time kind of thing. I don't know. We're gonna balance PvP, and then we got to spend another week balancing PvE, bouncing back and forth. But yeah, I would like it if they did that. It would just be more time and money put into it.
I think it would be more time in development at the beginning, because you'd have to develop those additional character archetypes and whatnot. But I think once the balance was down, you probably wouldn't have to keep touching PvP too much until you started adding new things.
makes complete sense. I mean, you're gonna have some DLC weapons. There's gonna be some DLC weapons. There always is, man.
All right, well, I think that's our news for this week. A little bit of Netflix and Skyrim, as well as Star Wars and Destiny. But Jolly wants to tell the folks what we got coming up next.
And we hope you enjoy the interview coming up with Briskers. This was Jolly Roger. Catch you guys later.
And Zombie Drac.
Hi, I'm Shota, a sole developer from Tbilisi, Georgia, and I'm going to be talking about Whiskers, a top-down action game on the Rated R show.
And hey everybody, it's another week and therefore it's another interview. Yay, it's me, G, and with me today, yeah, it's that Englishman, Bamm Havoc.
I really want to slap you right now. No, not English, for the millionth bloody time. I might sound it, but I ain't. Anyway, enough about that silliness. Guys, today G and myself here talk to you guys about a game called Whiskers and the developer, Shota. Shota, say hi.
Hi, I'm Shota, a sole developer from Tbilisi, Georgia, working on the game Whiskers. I've been working on it for about 10 months, and it's nearing its final stage of development, so I'm very happy to talk about it.
Happy days. Happy days. Right, so, Shota, I am pronouncing that correctly, yes? It's Shota, or Shota, or Shooter, or how do you pronounce it?
It's pronounced Shota.
Shota, happy days. You said you've been working the game for 10 months. Have they been grueling 10 months, have they?
Yeah, it was really difficult 10 months, I'd say so.
Okay, so the first question I want to ask, and normally G jumps in with the first question, and we reverse the roles today, so I get to ask the first question. I want to know a bit more about yourself. You say you come from Georgia, the great country of Georgia. Please, dude, tell me a bit more about yourself.
I'm a 28-year-old sole developer, like I mentioned, and I've been playing games from a young age, and video games I think were much more fun to play back then. So I was, as a kid, I enjoyed drawing a lot, and I dreamed of having my drawings and ideas come to life in the form of video games. And I was about 12 when I came across Game Maker Studio. It was actually known as just Game Maker back then, I think. And I was amazed by its capabilities, and the game development scene became a passion of mine. And I spent years prototyping different games.
So, Shota, Game Maker Studio. Then I have to ask, you said you prototype various things, but this one, Whiskers, is the first one you're actually moving forward to release with.
Yeah, this would be my first commercial game.
But did you release anything else, like, freeware or demos or anything?
I did release some demos, but I don't think this was that great or anything like special, so I was just deleting this and making new ones.
Fair enough. I think anybody who's been in software has had that, ooh, I can do better. Let me try and do better. And it's always awesome seeing somebody who then goes, well, this is actually good enough to release. And looking at the graphics, I think this one looks really awesome.
Yeah, this was the first time I sat down and said to myself that now I'm going to make something that I'm going to finish and release it.
Looking at it, and yeah, part of this is, we've gone back and looked at all the footage and what is available. Am I wrong in saying we're talking about a game that is at least somewhat inspired by Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2 back when they were top-down, Hotline Miami, and various twin-stick shooters as well?
Yeah, that's correct. The gameplay elements were inspired by Grand Theft Auto and Hotline Miami, and I couldn't find any games on Steam that tried to recreate the gameplay and found that the original top-down GTA had, so I decided to give it a try. But I also wanted to include indoor areas in Whiskers, so that part was probably more inspired by Hotline Miami. And as for the storytelling part, I really liked that comic book-like cutscenes that were in Max Payne, and wanted to achieve something similar, and I think it turned out pretty good and fits in with the rest of the game.
I'd say Max Payne as basis for a story is not a bad idea.
Yeah, I thought these comic-like cutscenes were real great and atmospheric.
And that is also kind of where you are visually in this game. It's not an attempt at hyper-realism or anything. It looks really soft-edged, curves, toned down colors. Even when you're using, pinks and hot colors, they're still toned down and everything looks really soft.
Yeah, the graphics, I wouldn't say they that I wanted to achieve hyper-realistic graphics or even close to realistic. I just wanted to fit it with something like the more old-school type games.
Yeah, I think you've achieved it. I should be honest, when I first saw the game and I saw the video of little characters of top-down view shooting each other, my mind went all the way back to like Alien Breed. Now we're talking 1990. So, 91. So that kind of got me hooked first, but then seeing all the other stuff, I think it looks nice and smooth, and you definitely have that retro feeling, and you have that retro future color palette going as well in some, at least in the cars and the chases. That sits well with me. That's just one of my preferences.
That's good to hear, because that's what exactly I was trying to achieve, so...
Mission achieved.
Oh, great.
Or in his case, mission complete. Right, so I mean, you mentioned something earlier on when I asked the first question, saying there isn't a game on Steam that gives you the same sort of feeling as the first Grand Theft Auto games. I'm sorry, but the first Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2 top-down were the best Grand Theft Autos. I'm still a big fan of those. And to see a game like this, it's a nostalgia slap in the face. It's like, oh god, I want to play it because this is the kind of game that I played when I was a kid. And like yourself, I've been playing games since a long bloody time ago, since Pa fell off the bloody bass. So yeah, this is going to be a game I'm going to be playing. Hallelujah.
Yeah, I think that I often prefer simpler mechanics and gameplay found in the older titles. And with today's focus on graphics, sales, and etc., games lose that simple and fun charm.
Well, you see, for me, it's not necessarily the fact that the gameplay is simple. It's not necessarily that the gameplay is cute and pink and fluffy. It's the fact of it's a proper nostalgia slap. It's like, oh god, this game, yes please, more of this please, because you don't see this type of stuff on Steam, on the internets anymore, or on, wherever you want to play them. You don't see them because they've all gone to hyper-realistic first-person, MLG, whatever, MOBAs, whatever have you. So you don't see this type of gameplay anymore. And this is just... I'm loving it already. I'm loving it. I haven't even played the game and I'm loving it. I just got one question though. Why Riskers?
Yeah, exactly. I was also surprised that, like I said, I couldn't see any games that try to recreate the top-down GTA. So, yeah, I decided to give it a try.
Why did you call the game Riskers?
Well, it's kind of related to the story. I can tell about the story. So, the game is set in an urban city called Stilton, and where you play as a man named Rick, who has recently been released from prison after serving time for a criminal offense. So, to forget about and escape his rocky past, Rick starts a new life by finding a job, and with the help of John, his brother, Rick begins working as a garbage man. And on what seems like an ordinary day, Rick finds a mysterious briefcase filled with cash in a dumpster. So Rick takes the risks and decides to keep it. And then 2 days later, everything takes a turn for the worse when he opens the door of his apartment. So, without spoiling much, I guess that's all I can tell about the story.
Right, that sounds like almost every single Grand Theft Auto game. The nostalgia's real.
Oh, great.
Okay, then gotta kind of ask, how heavy is the story? I mean, can you sit down and just play the game in order to steal cars, drive around, have fun in a somewhat open world scenario, or do we have to slavically follow this story?
Yeah, I was trying to achieve the same rule of Grand Theft Auto, where the storyline doesn't matter that much, so you can just skip the story and freely roam the game's open world. As for the riskers, you also have the ability to complete optional side missions like different challenges, find collectible stuff like that, or even take part in some underground fights.
Ooh, is that where the baseball bats come in?
Yeah, you have that baseball bat available in every mission, so there is also some kind of stealth element related to that. Some missions you can that involve shooting either by sneaking around and stealth killing people or blasting your way in with a shotgun or any other weapon.
That's usually where I fail, because the whole stealth thing, that just doesn't work for me. My method, shotgun first and then care about the rest afterwards.
That's great. There's also a grenade launcher available if you want to cause chaos.
Well, chaos is good. It's the kind of game, and I like that part about Hotline Miami, that you can cause some chaos, some carnage, without necessarily caring too much. It's just a good way of sitting down and shutting parts of your brain off and just go into lizard mode and just kill a lot of pixels.
Yeah, I agree. I really like that part about Hotline Miami too.
But that said, anybody who's read any of the reviews I do, the first things I usually look for is, narrative and narration. Is there a story? There is. Except it's 2 months until we can be told anything about it. And, how is the storytelling? So I guess I want to ask you, what kind of, not the story itself, but how is the story being told? Is it like somebody's narrating it, or is it just what we're experiencing in the game, the dialogues or little pop-ups with text?
So it's told through comic book-like cutscenes that were similar to Max Payne. And I don't think the story is really the strongest side of the game, but it's also there. So those who want to get into the story, there is some story with a plot twist too. So
well, it's always good that there is some kind of story. I mean, as I said, it's fun to sit down and kill pixels, but I like there to be a reason for it.
Yeah, the reason is there. I just didn't want to spoil that part, but I guess it's not spoiling too much. So the reason behind all the shooting and stuff like this is that the Rick's brother gets killed, so then everything changes.
Ooh, that doesn't sound good for Rick.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Shota, question. One of my burning questions. You've called the city that you've created Stilton City. Why Stilton? You've got a thing for cheese, dude. I mean, personally, I would have called it Bacon Heaven Deliciousness City, but you've called it Stilton. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like cheese, but do you like cheese that much you'd call a city after cheese?
Okay, I think, believe it or not, I just came up with that randomly, like total randomly. So there's no story behind that name or something like that. Maybe, yeah, I should have called it something.
No. I like the way you've named it after some cheese. So it's going to be a cheddar city next, or a red Leicester city next, or Gouda city. That's pretty good. You got a limitless names of cities after this one, dude.
Yeah, good idea. I'll definitely try that.
So this game, Riskers, right, that you've developed solely by yourself, is going to be launched on the 5th of September, or it's going to be available on the 5th of September?
Yeah, it's going to be available on the 5th of September, and yeah, I've been developing that all by myself. Graphics, coding, everything. Even music.
You've made this game's own music?
Yeah, that's right.
What is the musical style of this game? Is it like quite retro 80s? Because I get like an 80s sort of vibe of this sort of game.
Yeah, something like that. Something like synthwave and a mix of dark electronic music.
Synthwave, okay.
There are 30 tracks in total, so...
Oh, I think G's gonna love it because he loves his synthwave.
Yeah, I really wanted it to have some original soundtrack, and I think it's fitting the game very well.
Hang on, you made 30 tracks. How big is this game, dude?
The game itself is about 600 megabytes.
when I say size of the game, I mean the world that you are playing. How big is the scale of the city? Stilton is a pretty big cheese, so I'm thinking you've got a pretty big city.
I was kind of limited by the engine in terms of the size, so no, I wouldn't say it's too big, but I think it's pretty big, yeah.
Apologies, I'm going to jump back to the music because I actually spent today just listening to it. It's up on SoundCloud, can I say that? It's SoundCloud S Bobokhidze. We'll see if we can include a link to it. It's actually pretty good, but there's a really wide range of music for this. Everything from there's some dubstep inspired, there's some nice chill, some lounge, and yes, there's some retro tunes in there. There's actually some that are quite retro. It's all of it nice and electronic music, so if you're into electronic music, as I said, usually most of it is rather chill, I would argue. Go check it out. And Shota, if you wrote all that, plus the game, plus the graphics, I'm kind of impressed.
I'm still gathering my senses that he's actually built everything. Honestly, you've built... This game is everything has been from yourself, and you've only done this in 10 months.
Well, thank you, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the advantages with GameMaker is it's relatively easy to use, particularly compared to some of the more complex, if you take like Crysis, etc. So you can get things done relatively quickly, but it also has an upper limit. I think you're doing quite a good job. This is one of the better GameMaker's games that I've seen.
Yeah, and to be... Sorry, I kind of messed up at it. So to tell the truth, I'm not really happy with the game. I think I could still add some more to it, and hopefully before the release date I can still manage to improve the game.
I'm just shocked. Did you build the engine itself, or did you just have to get an engine from somewhere and then use that, or did you actually build the engine as well?
No, I didn't build the engine myself. It's built using GameMaker Studio.
I'm still stumped. So everything in this game is your creation, from the street lamps to the baseball bats to the guys to the sprites and the anonymous AI running around. Everything is your creation. You didn't purchase third-party sprites from anywhere. It's all you.
No, I'm totally against purchasing assets and using stuff like that. I think you can't call a game yours if you use assets or something like that. So I coded everything by myself, including the shadows, everything like backend stuff. So
the process of you developing the game, was it a completely clean slate, and you had to learn a whole lot of bits and pieces, like, for example, shadowing effects, how to actually design and build a car from a top-down view, how to see what people look down? Did you, get onto a top apartment building, look down and say, oh, so that's what people look like from the top down? Oh, that's what cars look like from the top down. How did you do it? Because that, to me, who doesn't develop games, looks like an unscalable mountain to climb, and you've managed to do it in 10 months, you said.
Yeah, so what really helped me was that I would look up some references, like how does a person look like from top-down view. I would just Google that, so I had some idea, and then when I had that idea, I tried to do it myself.
I must say, mate, I'm actually, well done. Bloody well done.
Thank you very much.
Jesus, G, where have you found this guy? Holy shit.
Oh, he was in one of the game development discords that we hang out in.
Yeah, I tried to market it desperately.
And hey, you succeeded because you're here with us.
That's great.
No, I'm kind of impressed because a lot of the people who make games in GameMaker, they do it for fun, they do it just for shits and giggles. You've actually managed to get hooked up with Meridian 4 as a publisher.
Yeah, that was a really big surprise because I wasn't expecting that at all, that any of the publishers would contact me. But one day they contacted me on Twitter and said that they were really interested in the game and they would like to be the publisher of the game.
And I guess for people who don't know, Meridian 4 they are there mostly for the indie games and for the indie developers to help get their games out. Yeah,
they've been really good help. They helped me with the funding, and they also handled the marketing part.
Well, good, they should. But still, it's impressive. So it's kind of international because if I'm not mistaken, they're Canadian. So almost the other side of the planet.
I can see why Meridian 4 has quite literally snapped you up. Your game looks amazing, and I'm sure it'll be a great game to play. And to be brutally honest, Meridian 4 isn't anything to be sniffed at when it comes to the indie development and gaming community. Meridian 4 is quite up there. Well done!
Yeah, thanks. I wasn't really confident in my game, but when they contacted me and asked me to be the publisher, I gained some confidence. So, yeah, I think that's good.
Well, to be brutally honest, mate, you are building a very nostalgia-heavy game. The style of the game is very reminiscent of the old Grand Theft Auto games, which I love. I played those in the middle of the night when my parents weren't watching, that sort of thing. That's when I played Grand Theft Auto and whatever have you. This game reminds me of it, and I just want to play it. I mean, I played the Grand Theft Auto games to death. This is the same kind of game that offers a new story and a new experience, and I will be looking to get this game. I'm not saying that because any other reason than the fact that I want to play the game. That's it. Yeah, thank you very much. Hallelujah. Someone else is making kind of games that I like to play. Happy days.
Oh, great. So yeah, I had to start somewhere. So, without making this game commercial, I wouldn't have gone really far because you can't make games for free. One day you'll end up with nothing. So you kind of have to make a living from it. So I guess it was time for me to make commercial game this time.
Okay, now I went and looked on your Steam bits and pieces, and I want to know who the hell is Big Boris, because that guy isn't looking very big. In fact, he's looking a bit fat and a bit balding. Is he big because he's fat, or big because he's, the big sort of iconic idea of what a muscly Russian is?
Sure, before you answer, did you say he's fat and balding? Bam, that reminds me of somebody.
Yeah, I can confirm that he's kind of fat, not too tall at all, and balding too. So, yeah, I tried to put some humor in that, not to make the game all serious and monotone. And yeah, there's some good lines regarding Big Boys.
Well, I don't know what G's trying to reference. G, what are you trying to get at? Fat, middle-aged, and balding? Who are you trying to say, G?
Well, let's just say I'm not balding.
Well, neither am I. So I don't know who you're trying to reference, G.
I don't know.
And Boris looks about 50? 50-ish? You trying to say it's Donald Trump, but a Russian version? Or a Boris version? Or Boris Johnson in the UK?
Actually, Boris Johnson is getting there, isn't he?
What do you mean getting there, mate? He's already there. In fact, he's past it.
Ouch. Sorry, Shota, just making fun of UK politician.
Sure.
So, now that you're making a commercial game, if this becomes a success, aren't you a little bit at risk that you'll have to make a sequel or another game?
I would really love to make a sequel. In fact, I already started working on some concepts. So hopefully it will turn out to be at least somehow successful. I don't know, partly successful. And yeah, I'm really hoping so.
But you'll stay in Game Maker and you'll stay alone?
Yeah, I think I'll stick to Game Maker Studio because, like I said, I found it to be the perfect 2D engine, and now there's a new version released, and I think I'll use that.
Oh no, makes sense. Fair play. If it's the tool for the job. And people always say, well, you should use this or that. No, you should use the tool that you are able to, that you already know, because that's frankly a little bit easier. And if it can do the job without getting in the way, it's the perfect tool.
Yeah, I think so. Especially if you're making the game all by yourself, there's no need to use all those other engines that offer limitless functions and stuff like that. If you're not going to use that, there's no reason to.
Quite right.
He's got a bloody good point there. There's no need to use it. Why bother using it? Stick with what does the job good and well and perfect. I can't disagree. And I can't agree more. So please, Shota, I still need to know a little bit more about yourself when it comes to game making.
Okay, I'll try. Just give me a few seconds, okay?
Okay, cool. Right, Shota, Dude, the question I'd like to ask you is to learn a little bit more about yourself. To be brutally honest, mate, I get the feel that this game's set in the 80s because it gives me a sort of 80s sort of vibe when I look and see and listen to the music. It gives me that sort of 80s feel, you know, a bit like the first Die Hard movie. That movie was bloody good. You know, G's favourite artist is Queen, if you didn't know that. So if you want to make G have a good day, play him some Bohemian Rhapsody. He loves it. He loves Queen. He loves it. So I would like to know a bit more about yourself and why you made this game feel like the 80s. Are there any 80s references in there? Are there any sort of movie, you know, references? Like, you know, stuff like I said before, you know, Die Hard, you know, the Rambo film, stuff like that.
Okay, so I'm not really sure if it's like total set in 80s because the music is from the 80s. It's kind of similar, like synthwave, but as for the in-game theme, it's kind of more modern, like I would say, set in maybe nowadays. And as for myself, I'm really a huge fan of Grand Theft Auto, so I try to make, I try to keep things similar to the original Grand Theft Auto, so...
You see, this is where nostalgia takes effect, because you said set more contemporary sort of time. I get the 80s sort of feel behind it. I honestly, I really do. It reminds me of you know, movies in the 80s, you know, games set in the 80s, stuff like that. So you've done quite well. You've done quite well.
Yeah, as I said, it's not exactly mentioned like which specific year the game is taking place in. So
okay. As you said, you were working on some concepts for the next game of Riskers, if this takes off. May I please suggest Cheddar City, or as before, Red Leicester City, or maybe Camembert City? You know, maybe more of a Frenchy type thing with some breadsticks instead of baseball bats.
Cheddar City sounds great, I think. Yeah. The concept is that I'm not sure if I'll call it Whiskers 2 or something like that, but the idea is to make a game with similar type of gameplay, but set in a cyberpunk theme.
Are you a fan of Star Trek or Star Wars? And if so, which one and why?
I'm not really a fan of any of those.
Ah, so you're not a Trekkie or a Star Wars fan. No, that's fine. Are you a fan of Star Trek Voyager, maybe?
Unfortunately, no.
What movies or series did you watch when you were a kid growing up?
I wasn't actually that much into movies. I always preferred video games.
Okay, and apart from Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2, what games did you play? See, I'm trying to get a bit more of a feel for yourself and a bit more feel for your gamers. What were your inspirations for creating such a game, apart from Grand Theft Auto 1, 2, and Miami, Florida, or Florida, Miami, whatever?
I think I used to play all genres of games, like everything that was... Every new game that was released, I used to play that. There were AAA games.
Did you play games like Red Alert, by any chance, and Command & Conquer?
Yeah, I really love those games. I'm actually a fan of those.
Ah, there we go. There's an idea for you there, dude. You can make me a game similar to Red Alert. There we go. Not the second one, the first one. There we go.
I would love to make a strategy game similar to Red Alert, but I think it's kind of harder to make a game like that.
Very, very, very hard to make a game like that. So, Shota, you have been dealing with this game by yourself throughout the entire 10-month development process. Have the reviews on Steam been kind to you, even though your game hasn't been released yet?
I think that the feedback was good. Everybody seemed to like the graphics, which was kind of surprising to me because, like I said, I wasn't really confident in myself, and that was good to hear.
So you haven't received any criticism on Steam? Now, I know Steam can be a bit of a how do you say, a bit of a hornet's nest when it comes to, gamers / game developers, talking to each other. You haven't had any sort of trolls on your Steam page?
Yeah, I think when I posted it on the Greenlight, there was this one guy that said something like that this game felt like a bad clone of Hotline Miami. But to tell the truth, I didn't really understand that because as far as I remember, there are no cars in Hotline Miami, there's no open world city, so I'm not sure what he meant by clone.
I'm just surprised he'd think it was a clone because it looks nothing like Hotline Miami. It looks nothing like Grand Theft Auto or Grand Theft Auto 2. It reminds me of those games, yes, I won't deny them of that, but it doesn't look anything like that. And to be honest, this is what makes me want to play the game because it's another game. Again, I said earlier on in the chat. It makes me, it's all sort of like a nostalgia thing. It makes me remember the good games and then makes me want to play more games like this sort of game style.
Yeah, that was totally unexpected because by clone I mean something like maybe, have you ever heard of Bloodbath Kafkas? A game that is similar to Hotline Miami.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd say that's a bad clone, but not about Riskers, not because I'm the developer, but like it's totally different.
Just another question. The indoor environments for Riskers, was it difficult developing that sort of indoor environment? Because from what it looks like, all the AI, or the NPCs, and all the internal structures are all different. Yes, there are some similar bits here and there from what I can see, but when you go out the building, it looks like a completely different environment to the indoor side of things. Is that a deliberate design choice?
So I actually enjoyed designing interior parts, but the hardest part was optimization of the game because there's so much stuff going on at the same time that the PC struggles with the FPS.
Now, I noticed, again, when I was doing some research on yourself and Steam, whatever have you, some of the descriptions of the game were racer. Why racer? That was an interesting description choice. Who put that there?
Yeah, actually there are races in the game. Well, some during the missions, and there are also challenges that include races.
Okay, so basically that's part of the actual game itself. So there's assassination missions, there's shooter missions, there's kidnap missions, there's... What other missions are there, dude?
Oh, the missions are... I think there are a lot of variations of missions, like some chasing cars, like opposite, and driving from one point to another point, stuff like that.
Okay, happy days. G, have you come up with another question for Shota?
Well, I do have one, and it's a little bit still going back to the whole Game Maker thing, I guess. Because I know it doesn't support every platform out there. So, Shota, what platforms can we expect the game out on? I mean, Windows, sure. Even possibly Bamm's ancient laptop might be able to run it. But those of us that are on Mac and Linux, how Breath and Over on the consoles, can we get to enjoy the game as well?
Riskers will release on Steam for Windows, and I think there is also a possibility that it will be released for Linux and Mac, but that mainly depends on the success of the game.
So literally everybody should go out and buy the Windows version, so I can get a Mac version.
Yeah.
Hang on. What about the PS4 players? Because I am a PC... Well, I'm a PC noob green grasshopper, level 1. But I'm a PlayStation 4 double star veteran here. This is going to come on the PlayStation? Because I think the PS4 can actually handle this. And handle it quite well.
I'm all for PC Master Race.
Oh, wounded, dude. Wounded. Oh, gee, he's a PC Master Racer, gee. Ah.
Yeah, joking aside, I really hope that if the game is successful, then hopefully I can release the ports for PS and Xbox.
Well, maybe the sequel could come out on the other platforms. Riskers 2.0, the Cyberpunk version, out on consoles.
Yeah, hopefully the sequel will be bigger and much better, and so there's more chance of coming it to consoles.
Dude,
Well, fingers crossed,
believe it or not, it is time for G to fulfill his contractual obligations. He has an obligation to ask a specific question every podcast. Subsection A, clause 32, paragraph B. It's a difficult question. It's the hardest one to answer. And G will ask it to you now.
Yeah, Shota, apologies for this one, as Bamm says. It's being repeated in every single episode, and I'm apparently required to do so. So you get to enjoy it as well. Now, very simple. What is your favorite kind of bacon? How do you want that bacon? And what kind of beverage, be it beer or cider or something else, do you want with the bacon?
No, okay, that's a really hard question. Well, I have to admit that I'm not the biggest fan of bacon, but I enjoy it every now and then, though.
Ooh, I think Bamm just had a heart attack.
Wounded! Oh, he doesn't like bacon! Oh my god, no! Wounded! Oh!
Sorry about that.
Tell me you like beer. Tell me you like beer. Do you like beer?
Yeah, I like beer.
Oh, there we go. Saving grace. Beer comes to the rescue. You see? Bacon cures most things in life. Shota. Beer solves everything else.
You're actually one of the cases where we've had somebody on the show where neither Bamm nor me or any of the other guys actually been to the country. It's a little bit weird.
Have
you been there?
I have actually been to Georgia. It was middle of 2003 on HMS Southampton. We went to the Black Sea and we stopped over in Georgia.
Ooh.
I have actually been there. It was a great 3 days and the beaches are delicious. And to be honest, most of the beer, I won't lie, he's not wrong, were Coors, Budweiser and Corona. Very American sort of beers. I didn't come across any local ones, and honestly, G, if it wasn't for the fact it was 14 years ago, I'd probably know a lot more, but it was a drunken haze, and I can't remember much. I will say this thing, though. It was lovely and hot. It was the middle of summer.
Guess we'll just have to go back and have a look, Bamm. Yeah, Shota, thank you for joining us. It was nice having you on. It's one of those games that are looking interesting. It's coming down, what did you say, September 5th. So there's a little bit of time still, but hey, we should all have something to be excited about, right? Beyond that, just best of luck with all the polishing and the last-minute bug fixing and then the release. We're looking forward to it.